Hey people, not Seth here. Actually, it's Malcolm Rose, and I'm here to talk about week number 3 of the Crawl Cosplay Tournament. This time we have a brand new unique that this is modeled after in Trunk. It's called Nobody, Grudge of the Unmourned. He seems like kind of an interesting unique to fight. I haven't played Trunk lately, so I don't really know for sure. I don't have any personal experience with it, but if you want to read about the unique as an NPC, as an enemy, there's some information about it here. It's kind of interesting. Should be kind of a drag-out fight. Doesn't really matter for the sake of this challenge. It's just kind of what the cosplay is modeled after, so to speak. The important stuff for you as a player, if you're playing this tournament, is that you have to play as a Revenant, which is a new species in Trunk. It has replaced Ghoul. As I said a couple weeks ago when the tournament challenge was for a Poltergeist, in Trunk pretty much all of the undead species have been removed, and a couple of new ones have taken their places. Revenant, being modeled after Ghoul, has Claws 1, and kind of a laundry list of what I would say are maybe slightly over-engineered things that are actually pretty interesting at the same time. So I think probably before we even get into the details of this week's challenge, probably I should talk about the species. Because it's new, because people may not have played it before, the thing about it is that, well, because it has sort of unique things going on, it's going to impact your playstyle quite a lot and your plan for the character. So, if I were to go into LearnDB and just kind of look up Revenant, it says, new species in 0.33, replacing ghouls, an extra magic skeleton, resistances, resist cold, infinity negative resistance, so we're immune to torment as well, resist holy minus, that is to say we have a holy vuln, so watch out for holy branded weapons, they do way more damage than you would expect. LRD vulnerable, which probably is not so bad, but you may need to watch out for the deep troll earth elementalists. And like I said, it has claws 1. Now that's all pretty straightforward, but here's where it gets kind of interesting. They have this thing called Spell Claw, where anytime they cast a directly damaging spell, so pretty much just conjurations, some exceptions, if you cast a directly damaging spell, you will also automatically attack whatever the highest HP enemy is within range. As you can imagine, this is ludicrously powerful. It's turn economy, you're casting and you're doing an attack at the same time. What's not to like? Also at level 3, we get a random level 1 damaging spell, such as Shock, for example. And you build up charges to super boost spells once you hit level 3. So well, that ability is actually called Mnemnophage, Mnemnophage. Try pronouncing that. And the way that works is it's kind of reminiscent of that newish spell, I believe it's called Graveclaw, the one where you can have up to 3 charges and it does a good amount of damage, and it's smite targeted. Very powerful spell, but you have to charge up by defeating enemies. This kind of works the same way. Mnemnophage, a Revenant property. Hostile monsters dying in sight builds up memory charges capped by XL. The more levels you have, the more charges you can build up. The Enkindle ability then uses up all charges to make that many directly damaging spells cost 0 MP. So now you've got mana economy on top of your turn economy. Be easier to cast, so you get a wizardry effect while this is active. Ignoring encumbrance, pretty good if you're wearing a shield or heavy-ish armor. And get extra power, so I assume that's an Archmage effect. Spellclaw activations during the Enkindle will actually heal you for a portion of the damage dealt. I think this is a cool species. I think it's a little bit over-engineered, like I said. I think that if you just removed the Mnemnophage ability entirely and Enkindle, you would have a pretty good basis for a traditional sort of crawl species. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. In fact, I would say a lot of the things coming out of this dev, I want to say Draco Omega is to blame for this one. A lot of the things coming from that dev are probably more interesting than what we've seen to be allowed in Crawl for years and years. So I don't want to poop on it, because the reality is it actually is. These are largely interesting concepts, and I will dog on it just a little bit, because I do think that active ability is just a little too much. Like, it's just a little wild for mainline, but it looks more like something that would belong in a fork that's a little more radical, like Kimchi. But it's not bad. It's interesting. I like the Spellclaw thing. I think it sounds almost ludicrously overpowered at first blush, but there are certain ways that it's balanced. Revenants, for instance, have terrible statistics. As seen in this challenge, if you start as a Cinder Acolyte, for example, you start with 4 dexterity, which, if you want your dodge training to do much of anything for you, and you probably do, you really probably want to take that to about 10. But, choices are to be made, because that means you're not increasing strength, so you're not getting extra damage on strength-based weapons, and you're not increasing intelligence, which you probably want to do, considering this species strongly encourages you to use damaging spells. Which in and of itself is kind of interesting, because people seem to like the idea of playing blaster casters, but they're really not that great in Crawl. Honestly, this whole species almost looks like something you would see in B-Crawl, because I know BH Oth loves hybrid-type characters that do melee and magic at the same time, and this species strongly encourages the player to kind of pursue one of those strategies. And this challenge itself, with some of the special conducts, does that as well, and we will get into that shortly. I think I've covered just about everything to do with the Revenant.